everyone, and welcome to the Love Like Crazy podcast. We are so excited that you've joined us today. Today, I'm joined by some very special guests. You know, a few months back, my husband, Jay, he had an opportunity to sit down and talk with our three sons. Well, today I have an opportunity to sit down and talk with our three daughter-in-laws. So I'm really excited about our girl talk today. So we're going to start off with, I want to introduce my girls to you. We have Brittney, who is married to my oldest son, Tyler. And how long have y'all been married now?
Almost
Brittney?
9 years.
Almost 9 years. That's right. So, and then we have Sarah is married to my middle son, Bryce, and you've been married.
We're going on 4 years, right, Kayla? I look at Kayla because
y'all got married.
We got married right
at the same time. And Kayla, you're married to Reese, our youngest, and so I'm just so excited to be able to get together and talk with you girls. We've been planning this for quite some time, talking about this, and so it's finally here. And today we're sitting with we all have our cups of tea, because I know you girls are all coffee drinkers, and I am the only odd woman out here. I don't drink coffee, but recently had an opportunity to go to the English tea room back around Christmas time, which is Olivia's birthday month, and we were celebrating her birthday, very first time we went to the tea room. And so let's kind of talk about how that's now becoming one of our new family traditions. So do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. It's something that she asked to do this year. So we gave her the options, because I want to start the Nutcracker tradition with her, but she wanted to do a tea party. And so that's something we did. And so I sent a text out, and we gathered the girls and then some of our close friends. Yeah. And we went and we had a great time.
Yeah. I mean, Olivia turned 6.
Yeah.
And I think that it was just such a sweet time for all of us to go and see her being so very prim and proper.
Yeah.
You know, she was dressed up in her cute little dress. And so I definitely want that to be like a new family tradition.
Yeah. She was prim and proper until she got a hold of the chocolate chai. And it's like dripping down her white dress. I mean, that girl loved some chocolate chai.
But she was posing for those pictures.
Yes, she was.
There.
That's right. Yeah, I know that. I love like the tea parties and things like that. And so we were trying everything, right? I mean, we all ordered something different. And then whenever they offered the chocolate chai, she jumped on that, because that girl loves chocolate.
Yeah, she does.
After Nana's heart. I love chocolate too. And so that became our thing. We all love the chocolate chai, right? I agree.
Yeah.
And so then for Christmas, I was so blessed, girls, you gave me this beautiful teapot, and which we use today and to make our tea. And then of course you guys got me some chocolate chai, and I am hooked. And so if there's any place that has chocolate chai, I am on it for sure. So that kind of reminds me of like different traditions that we have. And, you know, one of the things that I believe is a tradition in the Coleman family, because, you know, we refer to ourselves as the Coleman crew.
Yeah.
Even the grandbabies are like, "Are you a Coleman? Is your last name Coleman? Are you in the Coleman crew?" So I think we've kind of made that like family oriented, and in really putting a strong emphasis on family. And I know that family nights are a really big thing. Is there anything that you would say like that you just love about family nights, all of us getting together? Anybody?
Yeah, I guess for me, I have 2 children now, an 18-month-old little girl and a 2-month-old little boy. So more so speaking about Margaret, it's just fun to bring her over here and watch her interact with her cousins and just see how excited she gets to see them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Yeah, I feel like for me, I am currently known as KK in this house.
That's right.
We don't have any kids yet, but I'm an aunt of many, thanks to y'all.
Yes.
And I just love how excited they get whenever like me and Uncle Reese walk through the door, and they all just get so excited because we know that like we're going to give them our full attention and be able to go in the playroom and just cut up with them and play hide and seek and play tag. So I think that's my favorite part, is just like walking in knowing that they're just so excited that we're here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the theme of family nights is just pure chaos because
Yeah.
in total,
It gets really
there
loud.
is 6 kids, 6 and under
Mhm.
right now,
Right.
which is crazy. But I mean, it's loud, it's messy, it's chaotic. There's lots of screaming. But I also feel like if it was family night and it was quiet, it wouldn't be family night.
It wouldn't be
Yeah.
as
No.
exciting.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I know. The part that I love the most, I mean, anytime that I can get, and I know everybody who has adult kids are going to agree with this statement. Like when you can get all of your adult kids together, like it just is such a joy to your
Mhm.
heart. Because, you know, and too, seeing all the little grandkids here, it's like a throwback to when, you know, my sons, your husbands were little, you know, and so we just have a great time. And of course, Papa, like we're known as Papa and Nana. Papa always, he's like cooking like gumbo and
He's cooking something.
He's cooking
Oh, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We have this agreement. It's like he cooks and then I clean. So I have the fun of cleaning up family nights, but so enjoyable. So family nights are fun, and we don't get to do it as often as we used to. I mean, you know, before we had all these little kids, it was like once a week almost,
Yeah.
wasn't it? You
Yeah.
know, and I think that it was kind of like a highlight in the middle of our week. I'm sure. I know Brittney, like you'd be like, oh, well, PJ, y'all call him PJ,
Yeah.
right? Okay. PJ, like he'll plan on cooking something. You're like, oh, good. I don't have to cook supper tonight. Y'all all
is.
feel that way.
It's like, well, now it's like, do you want to cook? Do you want to cook? No. Okay, let's like ask for a family night.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't want to cook.
Yeah.
It's like our night off.
Let's make it real.
It's
Yeah.
like a little mini vacation because we're not at home. I don't have to cook. I don't have to do the dishes. I'm like, we
Right.
still get them to clean up their toys here. But it's just, you know, when you're out of your house and the mess isn't in your house, it's like,
Yeah.
and I just have to go home and put you to bed. It is just
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
refreshing.
And sometimes
I don't
you
know.
even bring them in their pajamas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because if I know we're going to stay late, I bring them in their pajamas. I will
Mhm.
change them right before we leave here, the ones that are in diapers, and we get home and it's
Yeah.
straight in bed. And it's just like, what a win.
Yeah.
And sometimes they even coerce Papa and Nana for a sleepover.
Oh
Sometimes.
yes, yes they
Yeah.
do. Yes they do, and that's a lot of fun. And our sleepovers now consist of making a pallet on the floor, or
Mhm.
as they say, a pilot.
A pilot.
A pilot on the floor in our bedroom, and they get popcorn with some M&Ms, and they get to that's where they get to sleep and watch a movie. We do like a
Yeah.
movie night, so that is always a lot of fun. I know sometimes y'all get Livy and Hudson to ask, hey, when can we like come to your house for dinner? You know, or
Yeah. Sometimes you got to send the bait out.
Yeah. But I mean, I know even before y'all had all the kids, like Bryce, especially, or any of the boys, would text and like hint around about family night. And so Jay and I would joke like, oh, they're low on groceries. They need to come to our house. And I was like, I'm here for it. I don't care, whatever I can do to help, and just to get y'all here and to be able to spend that time. So we're making all kinds of memories, and you know, it's almost become like a family tradition, you know, to have family night. It's not just on holidays, you know, though we enjoy those as well. So girls, you know, growing up in your home, did y'all have anything like that, you know, with your families or with your grandparents or anything like that?
Yeah, we still have family nights at my parents' house pretty much weekly. It's either like Tuesday or Wednesday nights, and it's set in stone. And sometimes, of course, things don't work out, but my mom is always like, the door is always open if
Good.
y'all want to come in. And so that's become a tradition. And I think that Reese really liked that too when we were dating, because he was able to have like, okay, I know no matter what's going on in our busy lives, like I can come over on that night, and that's going to be specifically deemed family night. What about y'all?
I guess for us in my family, we wouldn't like term it family night, but I'm at my parents' house constantly and they're always feeding us. so much so that they're probably like, okay, that's enough. Don't come over anymore. Their neighbors probably think we live there. We're over there so much. But yeah, it's so much fun.
That's good.
Ours was completely different. I feel like the black sheep, but also I've learned a lot in that. So we were my dad was always working side jobs, like doing whatever, working late. And then my mom worked 12-hour shifts 5 days a week at the hospital. And so ours was a little different because she would come home, rightfully so, completely exhausted. And then we were in so many sports and activities. So we never had a set night per se, a family night, or did we ever sit at the table and have family night? So that's something that when we have the house now that we have, it has a formal dining room. And Tyler was like, I'm going to bust out the wall. And I was like, no, you're not. Because I was like, this is the only place big enough to sit our entire family. Yeah. And it also makes it like we have to go sit and have dinner as a family. So that's something that we've started with us, is having like our own family night with my crew. And then of course not coming over. So it's something that I think that we saw you guys do. And then I was like, that's really important to me too. Yeah. Because I'm like, we do have 4 kids and life is so busy. And I was like, this needs to be a priority.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's why sometimes we're able to like get together, more often. I know like Bryce works shift work. And so a lot of times we try to plan around his schedule. Not everybody can come every time I send out a text, but I do love it when we can. And of course, if we go too long, then I'm like, I start missing y'all and I start missing the babies. And I'm like, okay, we got to catch up, because life does get really, really crazy sometimes. But, and I guess you saying that is that you realized, okay, this is something intentional that we have got to be mindful of, and even more so, having your own children and forming that family unit of how important it is that you want that within your own home. Yeah. But then in the extension of with the grandparents and the aunts and uncles and all the fun, Yeah. So, well, let me ask you this. So whenever you guys got married, which, like we said, you've been married almost 9 years, and Sarah and Kayla, you guys planned weddings like just a few months apart, and you just celebrated 4 years. Bryce and Sarah is about to celebrate 4 years, and time just flies. I mean, it has gone by so quickly, and I'm just so excited to see just the growth with my sons, and just the maturity and how well y'all are all adulting. I mean, you're probably like, oh, am I doing it well? Because I mean that it's just a joy to see whenever we can send our kids out into the world and they find someone that they love. Were there any like expectations that you guys had like in going into your marriage that you're like, oh, well, I had this expectation. Maybe it didn't turn out quite like you thought it would? Anybody?
I guess for me specifically, going into marriage, Bryce and I just had like a 5-year plan. So similar to Kayla, Bryce and I got married like 21 days after I graduated college. So our 5-year plan was going to be graduate college. I was going to take a year off of school and just really try to enjoy that year with him, apply to school, get into grad school. That was going to be 2.5 years of schooling, get a job, and then start having babies. And let me preface this with everything that has happened, we would absolutely not change. We love how it has turned out and the Lord has blessed us. But that's not how it went. The first 2 years probably went as planned. Got married, took a year off, applied to school, got into school. And then 3 weeks into school, I found out I was pregnant with Margaret, which was awesome. But, just like rolling with the punches and just listening to the Lord and allowing him to guide our steps. In Proverbs, it talks about how we make our plans, but the Lord is going to guide our steps, and just truly leaning into that, and just riding the roller coaster of life,
Literally having to surrender your story to the Lord. So how about you, Brittney?
Well, as everybody knows, or if you're listening and you don't know, in August of 2016, there was a flood that happened here.
Natural disaster.
Yeah, definitely a disaster. It was record breaking. It was just crazy. Well, I'm from Arkansas. And so we naturally, of course, like went up to Arkansas to get married. And there was about 100 people or so from Louisiana that came up there. Well, we got married on August 12th. Well, the flood started on August 11th, and we thought it was coming into y'all's house. And then we had found out that the water was receding right before the reception. So we were like, yeah, like we're married and it's not flooding. And then we wake up on August 12th. I think it was like 7 or 8 a.m. to a phone call.
The first morning of married life for you.
Yeah, to find out that everything was flooding, and it was, the church was flooded, your house was flooded. It was just crazy. So to say the first year of our marriage did not go as planned, it certainly did not go as
understatement.
planned or expected. I'm over here squeegeeing in my in-laws' house.
Yes.
But
it's all put back together. We're sitting
it
here
is.
in this lovely house. It's been put back
Hallelujah.
together.
Yeah. So that definitely didn't go as expected. And then on top of that, I mean, it was a long time with the rebuilding process and things like that. And then we had like a 600 or 800 square foot apartment, and it was a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. And then we get a call and it's like, hey, we need the boys to come live with you guys for a little bit. I'm like, okay, send them over. And so every other night they're switching between the blow up air mattress and the couch. And we're in this 1 bedroom apartment. And Bryce one time, he's like, hey, thanks for letting us stay here. I'm going to go cook. It was deer meat. And he's like, I'm going to cook spaghetti for when you guys get home from work. I was like, okay. We walked in and I told him, I was like, be careful as it get cooks really fast. He's like, I know how to cook it. When Tyler and I got home, it was like burnt smelling. It was terrible.
Because the boys were still in high school.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. They were young. Yeah. So anyways, to say it didn't go as expected would be a great understatement. And so that's what I told you. I was like, when people say your first year of marriage is the hardest, I'm like, you have no idea. Okay.
I can imagine with all those 3 boys there. They probably spent more time together than with you.
And I think we had a dog in there too. Like, it was just crazy. But what I've learned is a lot of things through that. I've learned that in the unexpected is where we see a lot of the Lord's favor shine upon us. I think there's a lot of wisdom to be learned in the uncertain. I mean, truthfully, when we moved here, I was struggling really hard because I had been in Arkansas my entire life. I just uprooted. Everything's flooding. I don't know anybody. And I'm like, I don't know that I heard the Lord correctly, that you want me to go here, Lord?
That was the worst welcome party ever, wasn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, man, it was really in the trenches of being in the uncertain and being in the trenches of disaster and sorrow and heartbreak and all of those things that I really feel like the Lord showed up and became ever present and almost reassured of like, no, this is where I've planted you. This is where I've called you to. So while it wasn't what I was expecting, I certainly feel like it was a time of growth in that season that the Lord taught us so much spiritually and in our marriage.
Yeah. It was definitely a time of growth for all of us, for sure. And I mean, just the opportunity of being able to host your new brother-in-laws. I mean, that was, I'm sure, something. the most fun you've ever had in your whole life.
That would happen. And there's 1 bathroom and 3 boys. And I was like,
oh gosh, and the Coleman boys. Ooh.
And I know. And I grew up with a sister. I was like, oh my
when you get them all three together.
What is happening?
What a culture shock.
Yeah. There was not enough smell springs things to help.
but wouldn't you say though now that you are officially a Louisiana girl?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from the ground up, literally.
Yeah, you've been here long enough. We have initiated you.
Oh yeah.
Truly,
it's like I told Journey Girls on that Tuesday. I was like, you are my people and I am your people, and my children call the Tiger. I don't think we call the Tigers here. We chant for LSU. Like we are an LSU sold out Louisiana family.
We bleed purple and gold, right?
Oh yeah.
That's right. That's
Still trying to get her on crawfish though.
That's right.
Yeah. Crawfish is the only thing
Livy
that you
and
haven't.
Ella are on the crawfish train now.
I just think it's so nasty that you I don't know.
Take the poop out.
Yes, it's so nasty. I wasn't going to say it, but yes. And people are like, that's where the flavor is. I'm like, you guys are nasty. That's what that is. That is.
Oh no. And it's crawfish.
You know, it's not
season,
nasty.
And I love
chicken.
it.
No, I will not get on the crawfish train. Olivia asked me the other day, she goes, will you peel one? I was like, yeah, anything for you. And I like demolished that thing. I was like, ask your dad. I don't even know how to, I don't know. Anyway.
Maybe one day. So what about you, Kayla?
Yeah, mine wasn't necessarily an experience per se, but I think that one thing that I was not expectant of is, like Sarah said, we got married during college. Actually, me and Reese were both still in college, not graduated yet. And so, in the dating life and the college life, you have a lot of time to just spend a lot of quality time together. And it's super easy to do that because especially in your senior year of college, most majors, you're kind of in like that home stretch of like, okay, I got the hang of it now. I'm going good. Like all I have to do is graduate. And so I think one thing that I was not expectant of is how much effort it would take to actually spend intentional quality time together. So whenever we graduated and he started working full time and I started working full time because I had also taken a gap year before applying to grad school, I quickly realized like, we are going to have to be much more intentional with how we spend our quality time, even in the little things. So like, for example, not on a necessarily structured family night, but we would make sure that at least every night we are sitting at the dining table eating dinner rather than watching a movie or watching a show or vegging out on our phones. And I felt like that was something the Lord was convicting us of because we found ourselves coming home from the day. I was around kids all day long at work, and he was actually, having to go out and work outside a lot. And so I think for both of us, it was easier for us to just like sit on the couch, eat our dinner, not really communicate a whole lot. And then we were like, wait, like, what are we even doing? We need to spend more quality time together and we need to spend intentional time together. So I think that is something we're still working on today because again, like Reese has a business now and he's working full time and I am in grad school about to graduate. And so with the stress and all of that going on, grad school and everything going on and the busyness of life, we've made it a point to really have a more structured, intentional time together every single night where we're communicating and talking about things that we don't get to talk about during the day.
Yeah.
So
that is so good. Yeah. There's a lot of things that when you get married and you start having kids and everything that you really have to be mindful of, because that time, it goes by so quickly, the time that you have before you have kids, the time that you have with your kids. I'm speaking from experience. Y'all all grow up so fast and then, are out the door and moving on with life. And so, that's good that there's lessons to be learned in all of these things.
I think that's something I've told you too. I'm like, Kayla, you have no idea how sweet this time is that you have just you and Reese. And that you do have the time to be intentional and to have those conversations. Because I think once you guys start having kids, you're going to look back and be like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was a really sweet time that we had just us to sit.
So it's important to like embrace the season that you're in and enjoy it, Jay and I also had a 5-year plan, Sarah, like you and Bryce did. We weren't going to have kids for 5 years. Well, joke's on him because we started having kids after 3 years. But yeah, you really do. I agree, Brittney, like soak in that time, Kayla, that you have just the two of you, because then with kids, you're having to, really fight for that alone time, right, girls? Yeah. So in this season of life that you're in, are there any like certain sacrifices that you feel like you're having to make?
Sacrificing sleep, sacrificing plans like we kind of already touched on, sacrificing just things that you want to do, like, I want to go hang out with my friends. Oh, I have 2 kids that need me and I can't just pick up and go anymore. There's just lots to sacrifice. But with all that being said, it's all worth it in the end.
That's good. That's good.
So to add to that, if I agree with you completely, like we do as moms sacrifice a lot of time and we sacrifice schedules, but I feel like there is so much of myself that I sacrifice as well. I mean, we have 4 kids that are 6 and under. I'm like, they're all home with me. It is, like we say, like family night is chaos. Like step into my household at any moment and it is someone's screaming, someone's crying, someone's hungry. It's just crazy. And there's so many times where I feel like my sacrifice, I guess, for what I would say for me personally right now is dying to myself every single day. But then I'm also like, man, what a reflection of the gospel in that sense. And so I don't know. I think that's my biggest sacrifice is I want the alone time so bad. I want to go sit in the bathtub for 10 minutes. I want to eat a hot meal by myself. I want to drink my coffee and not have to heat it up 4 times. You know, it's all selfish things that I want for myself. But the season that I'm in right now doesn't really call for me to be selfish for myself. My season right now is for me to turn that and reflect it onto my children and meet their needs of what they need from me right now. And in return, I'm like, I know one day that I will get all the things that I want to do. But then I think about that and I'm like, man, that also makes me really sad because it means I won't have little hands pulling on me and little feet running through my house and all the messes to clean up. But I think that's my biggest sacrifice right now is my own desires and turning that around to what do my kids need out of me instead? Because it's only seasonal.
Yeah. That's perfectly said. And I feel like something the Lord has taught me in that sacrifice and something that I feel like I've learned from you, Brittney, is just like all of these things that we're sacrificing our own desires. It's all to worship the Lord, you know, to take care of our kids. And that's just something that is part of the season, you know?
Yeah. I think because we talked about that at Journey Girls too on that Tuesday. But I feel like with moms or truly anybody with any season, I feel like the enemy can get into our head and start making this, why that, why whatever. And then it almost doesn't become like an act of worship to the Lord. It becomes a, I have to, I don't want to, but I have to. And then it's like festering this aggravation and frustration inside of you now. So I think in regard to that, I think the Lord is also showing me like you as a human are so selfish, you know, because I want these things. And they're earthly things and they're things for myself, but it's showing my selfish desires fester up in me, you know? So I think that's, again, just dying to myself every single day, picking up my cross and carrying it with grace, a lot of grace with all of those kids, but then returning all of that and saying, okay, Lord, this is my act of worship to you. This is the season I'm in. I want to do it well. I want to be faithful and I don't want to look back and have regrets.
Yeah. And I think about like talking about the seasons that we're in. Obviously, I am in a different season than both of y'all. However, it really goes hand in hand in the sacrifices that I'm making too, because like I said, I am in grad school to pursue my master's degree. And I have had to sacrifice a lot of social freedom, being able to hang out with my friends, just like y'all have to sacrifice things. Being able to hang out with family too. Even sometimes like we could go like 2 or 3 weeks without even seeing each other. Yeah. And it doesn't sound like a long time, but for us, it definitely is.
It feels like a long time.
And so like to be able to give what I need to give to pursue the gifts that the Lord has provided me with, to pursue the career that he has called me to, I feel like I have to sacrifice the same things like time and my own desires and my own wants. And Reese and I both, I mean, y'all know more than anybody, we want kids so badly, but that is a huge sacrifice that we've had to make through this season, is being in the waiting and calling and following what the Lord's calling is for our lives. Same thing with Reese having the business. In this season that we're in, I feel like we are definitely having to make a lot of sacrifices. Also, quality time with each other. Sometimes I have to study for hours upon hours at night, and we don't get that quality time together. And so just like with kids running around, you don't get that alone time. Same thing with whenever you're studying for a huge test, and then you have the anxiety and the stressors that come along with that. But I think that something that the Lord has really taught me through this season is to lean on each other as a couple and to lean on our family and friends as well. Like y'all have all been so supportive of me through this season, of Reese through our season. And I think like Brittney was saying, like constantly keeping me in check with like, remember why you're in this season. Remember what the Lord is calling you to do and be grateful for that. And just like we said, like embrace this season that we're in and the sacrifices that we have to make, because those sacrifices are always going to be there no matter what season you're in, but they're going to change depending on what comes in and what the Lord blesses us with.
I fully believe that the Lord is going to bless y'all for all those sacrifices, because I've told you, I'm like, Kayla, I know how badly you want kids. And I'm like, man, when the Lord blesses y'all, I feel like you're going to be like us. Bam, 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 bam.
Which means that we have the potential of having about a dozen grandchildren,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, I know.
We're halfway there.
Earlier, we were on the phone and I was like, it's so many moving pieces because I have 4 kids and I'm trying to navigate and get here and here. And you bring that one to here. And there's just so many moving pieces for one little change. And Kayla was like, yeah. And I was like, you'll get it when you have 4 kids. And I'm like, I know you will have 4 kids. I know. But yeah, I agree. I think every season has its own
Absolutely.
sacrifice and it just looks different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think it's our heart's posture that makes a big impact on that season.
Yeah. Well, and being able to move from season to season gracefully.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which, that reminds me of like whenever it was time for all 3 of you to get married, that was an opportunity for me, becoming a new mother-in-law,
Mhm.
to be able to like pass the baton
Mhm.
to you, and we've talked about that a few times, that I was trying my hardest in that season to do it gracefully and not be the mom that was kicking and screaming because, my sons are grown and they don't want to have anything to do with me and they love somebody else now more than they love me, that kind of thing. I looked at it as what a beautiful transition, and so that was definitely a season for me to embrace. And I remember apologizing to y'all and saying, look, I'm passing the baton. Like when you get married, like he's all yours, and I hope I taught him everything that he needed to know. But if not, I'm sorry.
This is on you now.
This is for you now. Okay. He's all yours, So it was, that was definitely an interesting season. So what would you say is maybe out of all the sacrifices that you're having to make in this season, what would be like your favorite? What is like a favorite of this time in your life right now?
I guess with my 2 kids, more specifically talking about Margaret since she's older, just watching her grow, and it's just so quick how fast they grow.
Yeah.
Watching her meet milestones, right now her little personality is really coming out, and just seeing how she just wants to imitate everything we do. The other day, I had her on the vanity and I was brushing my teeth. She had her little toothbrush, but when they're that little, their toothpaste is like fluoride free, so they're just swallowing it. There's nothing to spit.
Yeah.
And she watched me as I spit into the sink, and then she dramatically like whips her head back, whips it into the sink, and like spits. Well, pretend spits.
She learned that from Bryce.
I'm just like, that was so funny. Like she just wants to do everything we want to do, and I just love it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I just want to add this before I give you my answer on that, but I think that you did pass the baton very gracefully. I think that you did a wonderful job because I have 2 sons and they are so little. I mean, Luke is about to be a year and Hudson's about to be 5. And I look at Hudson right now and I'm like, how am I ever going to give you away? I'm like, there's not a chance. Like, good luck to that girl. You know what I'm saying? I am praying for her already. And I would love to know who she is because I just want to see her grow up too, But I think that you did an amazing job, even in the midst of a flood and everything else. I think that you did such a good job and you embraced us. It felt like you love your boys, but you've been like waiting for your girls.
That's
right.
Y'all are my girls. No, and I tell that to everyone, and that I thought I was going to be this great girl mom, and I ended up being, I had boys and raising them, but so I'm glad I'm not outnumbered anymore.
Thank you. You are such a good girl mom for like us as adults, but then now that you have 3 grandbabies that are girls too, it is fun to see you in that lens too, of not just Nana, but like you're helping us raise little girls. So I feel like it was a full circle moment.
Yeah,
it's for sure.
It's definitely fun, having little girls, granddaughters and stuff. It's like I know how to help y'all when it has to do with boys, but like the little girls, okay, we're all learning this.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly times where I'm like, do you want the baton back? Just for like,
and I'm like, nope, that door has closed.
I know. My dad told Tyler when we got married, he's like, there's a no return policy.
No return policy.
But anyways, I think going off of what I had said earlier, my favorite sacrifice, while it is the hardest, is the daily sacrifice of dying to myself. Because it just reminds me to bear my cross every single day. And it is it's such a catch-22 because it is incredibly hard, but yet it's also my favorite thing to try and tackle day in and day out. So I think that is my biggest thing. And like I said earlier, I do have kids in all directions. Like this morning, Olivia had already left for school and I had 3 home. One of them wanted a snack. One of them wanted to climb with me, and Hudson wanted a marker to make a sword for school. And I was like, okay. So I sat there and I was like, listen, I was like, 3 of you are yelling at me. There's 1 of me and there's 3 of you. I was like, so we're going to go in order of whose need is the greatest, and then I will get to everybody. But I say that to say, I feel like there's times where it is so loud in my ears, you know, mentally and physically, it's just loud in my ears. And so it is easy and natural for me to want to get overwhelmed and overstimulated and just snap in an instant. And so, like I said, while it is my greatest struggle every day, it's also my greatest honor to learn in those errors and in that trial of dying to myself, picking up my cross, raising up disciples, because the last thing I want is for my kids to be like, man, mom stayed home with us and that was great, but she was on edge and snapped at us all the time. Because then it's, I completely failed, you know? Yeah. So I think it is the hardest, but it's my favorite thing to do.
Mm-hmm. I think that my favorite part of this season is seeing the Lord's plan come into fruition and seeing how clearly his plan is for our life as a couple and also my life as a future occupational therapist. You know, I think that getting so close to the finish line has shown me, okay, like I've had to make a lot of sacrifices in this past season. However, look at where he's brought me and look at the moment that he's brought me to and how close I am to being done, and all of the stress and all of the busyness that came with this season is so worth it now. And I also think a huge part of this season for me was being able to be the KK that I am to all the babies, because I feel like as an aunt, it is something that's super special for people who don't have kids yet. It is something that is super special and unique to be able to spend that quality time with them and build those relationships with them, and also watch y'all grow as moms, as my best friends. Like, y'all are both 2 of my best friends, and it's just so cool that we're all such a close-knit family and we're able to just watch each other grow as moms. Y'all are able to watch me grow as a wife and as a future physician. And so I just think that it's super cool to be able to watch all of the sacrifices that we all make each day and be like, wow, like this really is such a testimony of our faith in the Lord and our faith in his plan, no matter what happens. You know, how your 5-year plan didn't work out and how you all started your marriage in an apartment with 3 boys. Yeah. And here we are now, and we're all just so close and supportive of each other. And I just think that it is amazing to see how blessed we are as the girls of the family to have all of the boys. Like Brittney was saying, I think that you and PJ both did an amazing job at raising them to be the men they are today, so that we can grow and follow our dreams and be the moms that the Lord has called us to be and be who we've been called to be by the Lord. So I think it's a super special season for sure.
Well, I absolutely love having my girls and y'all joining me today on the podcast. Okay, I do want to clarify one thing that our listeners probably do not know: why you guys call Jay PJ.
Oh, it started with me.
I was going to say, I think Brittney's the one who did that.
So when I had that thought earlier, I was like, people probably don't have any clue. So when Tyler and I first got married and I stepped into the family, I was like, what am I supposed to call you? We had a conversation right over there in the kitchen, in the corner. I mean, I remember it. And I said, what am I supposed to call you? And he was like, Pastor J. I was like, I feel like, okay, like I will, you know, and I'm like, that's what feels, or no, I'm sorry. I think he said, call me Mr. J. I was like,
Mr.
No, so yeah. And then he was like, just call me J. And I was like, well, that feels disrespectful to call you just J. Like, could you imagine walking in and be like, hey, J? Like, it feels so disrespectful. And so then he's like, just call me Pastor J. And
because
I was like,
you were working at the church.
I was working at the church at that time. And I was like, yeah, I was like, but we're family, so it can't just be Pastor J. So out of Pastor J came PJ. And so it was like our cool thing that, you know, like I felt like so cool at that moment because I could walk into the office and everybody's like, good morning, Pastor Dan. I'm like, what's up, PJ? You know, but now everybody calls him PJ. And I'm like, that was my name.
That's right.
I should have trademarked that. Patent on it.
Yeah, you would call him PJ or even like Peach. You would say, hey, Peach, what's up? And so, now the staff and and I even refer to him as, so he's everybody. Jay, he's PJ, he's Peach, or he's Papa.
Yeah, which Olivia likes to mess with him now and call him Pastor J.
Oh,
Pastor J.
Okay. That happened yesterday at church. She came up and she said something about, hey, Pastor J. And then she looked at me and she goes, Stacey.
Oh, yeah.
And
she
I was like,
Kayla.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And he told her, he said, Livy, now everybody can call me Pastor J, but only 6 people can call me Papa. So you need to call me Papa, you know.
It's her thing right now. She likes to mess with people like you. She's like, hey, Kayla. And so we've been like, who's Kayla? We don't know who Kayla is.
That's KK. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love seeing her say things like, so is your last name Coleman? Are you a Coleman? Are you part of the Coleman crew?
Yeah.
It's just so precious. Well, girls, I have totally enjoyed this conversation. This has just been the best time sitting around with our tea and having just girl talk. And y'all, all 3 of you have so much to add to this conversation today. And I do know it's just going to be a blessing to those that are listening. So listen, we're so glad that you joined us today on the Love Like Crazy podcast. And if this episode or any other episodes that you listen to have helped you, or you know of someone that it could help, then spread the word and get the word out for us. And we appreciate you listening and following and subscribing to even the YouTube channel. And we are so glad that you joined us today. So thanks a lot for being a part of the Love Like Crazy podcast.